GM. GM. Wednesday, 30th. It's not Wednesday, it's not the 30th. It is the 30th, but it's Tuesday. There we go. Tuesday. 30th of January. GM. So yesterday, we had Yellen, Treasury Secretary, out talking. She said, no reason for a recession this year. This Zero Hedge post actually sums it up quite nicely. But after the election, she sees a reason. So, like I've been saying for weeks, and it seems to be the path we're following, they're not going to allow anything bad to happen before the election, because that would be political suicide. And then after the election, it doesn't matter. Right? So, what does this mean for us? It means they're going to keep juicing the markets until at least November. And, you know, if Trump wins, they'll leave him to deal with the mess. And if Biden wins, they'll just keep printing, I guess. Or they'll allow it all to fall to shit in 2025, knowing that it doesn't matter, because the next election isn't until 2028, and it's going to have to be a different president anyway. So, the simple fact is, she's literally telling you what's happening, and your only job is to keep holding hard assets. They're going to make the deficit worse. They're going to cut rates. They're going to reduce QT, and eventually, they're going to print again as soon as there's any sign of stress in the financial system. So, let's just fucking ride it while we have it. Yeah? Good. Now, that's only one part. The bigger, more important part is on Wednesday, when the Treasury announces how they're going to finance debt, either through short or long-term bonds, bills, T-bills. So we'll see. As I said, that's tomorrow. We don't know. We'll wait and see then. Powell and the FOMC, the Fed meeting, is also tomorrow. So tomorrow is more important than today. Today, quite likely, is going to be a consolidative day. I wouldn't be surprised to see Bitcoin take out today's high and fall back and then just consolidate. Well, maybe not that much, but take today's high out, fall back, consolidate on Wednesday, sorry. And then if we're going to move higher, probably Thursday or Friday. Similarly, if we're going to move lower, Thursday, Friday. I think that's probably your most likely path. So, I would guess that today is going to be a little bit of a non-event in terms of the markets. We hit the level, we hit that T2, we hit the liquidity, the stops were resting there from the breakdown. I'll look at that more on trade of the day. But I want to now look at, since we've come off the lows, what's been happening with Bitcoin and altcoins. So, let me hide all this. Look at Solana's been doing well for an individual alt. And we'll look at total 3 for a full picture of the alts. So here's Solana, here's total 3, and we'll put Bitcoin on top. Bitcoin there, total 3 down here, and Solana in the middle. So Bitcoin's initial breakdown level was reclaimed back on Friday. Solana lagged it slightly, but Solana is now pushed up higher. Bitcoin reaching up to its Tuesday highs from the previous week. Solana doing the same. So Sol performing quite well out of the major alts. Total 3 lagging behind that. So Total 3 is only just getting above its Sunday levels here, where the breakdown came from a week and a half ago, which overall is pretty good, pretty healthy. It means that when you zoom out even further, and you compare these 3 charts across each other, the market is still broadly risk off for alts. Not risk off, I guess, consolidation more so, but that's good. You don't want to see necessarily alts as a whole massively outperforming Bitcoin, and they're not. You can see alts moving up, you can see Bitcoin moving up, you can see Solana moving up. So to me, Market seems pretty balanced, pretty healthy at this point. How much higher do we go from here? Don't know. To me, it doesn't really matter because I think there's going to be either a pullback or a significant consolidation. Right, so the absolute last thing you want to do is be shorting here. Just don't fucking do it. It might pull back from here, right? I've taken profit on my long because that's an obvious area for liquidity to get hit and pull back. But there's no guarantees. A lot of people are like, oh, it's got to pull back into this gap. It doesn't. It can go higher. It can go higher and keep grinding and grinding and grinding. It could take out 50k and then go back. It could consolidate and chop around. Right? There's a bunch of different paths that Bitcoin can take, all of which would be totally normal. None of these would be a massive surprise. Or if you see like this, of course, could happen, but that's what everyone's expecting. Right? Everyone's like, oh, we've rallied up, we have to pull back, we want to buy the dip, want to get long. To me, that's the least likely path. Doesn't mean it can't happen, but I wouldn't be surprised if it just keeps grinding up. And grinding and grinding and grinding. And even then, it just breaks out. Right? And there's no significant pullback. It bounces up into what looks like a lower high. So sort of a lower high trap. And it gets everyone nice and bearish. Maybe we have a dip down in between, where it seems like it's going to sell off, recovers back, goes. Again, you don't want to predict or guess any of these paths. That's why you just buy spot on the corrections. Like I was saying, so we buy spot last week. Whenever our price was down at the lows and everyone was panicking, buy your spot. It's still a bull market. Play the bull market. As for your trading, you have to trade that in between. But there's one path. The second most obvious path is this, where we push higher and then we pull back. We pull back all the way to the lows, and potentially we go lower as well, but let's just say we pull back, right? Whether it goes to new lows after that, definitely could, or whether it just goes sideways and then up, definitely could. But the only thing that matters for you as a trader is the pullback part. Because if your path is correct and Bitcoin pushes to 45 and then goes back to 39 or 40, then getting long here makes no sense. Right? Your upside is limited, your downside risk is greater. And time is going to tell you that. If you fast forward a week to next Tuesday and we're still around this area here, that red path is pretty much invalidated. Right? Especially if price is starting to push like this. That's a clear sign that the market's actually, basically anything below this 40k was overdone, shouldn't have been done, and we'll go potentially higher after that. One good level to watch for this is this 42k. This is your key level, this red zone. If you remember, it was where I'd drawn the path of volume profile. So from the trend up, since the day of the fake pump to the top, and it wasn't to the top, I actually drew it to the Sunday. There we have the point of control. So of all the move up and then the flush back down to 40k, so before we actually lost 40k briefly, this was the highest volume point. We're back above that. Now we're not significantly above it, but where I've marked the red zone is definitely a key level to watch. If we see Bitcoin over the next couple of weeks, you know, if you see Bitcoin do something like this, where it holds, I'll take away these, don't need them. If we see Bitcoin moving like this, where we stay up above, we come back, but it holds above 42.5, 42.6, that's really bullish. That's super bullish. Back below 42.6, it puts you into this much more tricky range. It's where volatility probably dies off. So if Bitcoin falls back inside here and starts to chop around like that, that's quite unknown, right? We're still above 40, that's fine from one sense, but we're below that main volume node at 42, so it could easily drift lower. And at that point, if we're back down here, you want to wait again for it to reclaim the red. So a lot of it will depend on the Fed. It's the FOMC meeting tomorrow. They're not going to raise rates. It's basically 98% probability that they're going to keep rates where they are. So it's not going to be the rate hike or rate cut. that really has any impact. It's going to be more, what does Powell say in his press conference? Because you know they're going to ask him, when are you cutting rates? When are you reducing the balance sheet? Or sorry, reducing QT, stopping QT? When are you possibly even going to ease? When are you going to add liquidity? They're going to ask about, what do you think of the stock market? What do you think of inflation? Is inflation coming back? Is it going away? What do you think about the strong GDP numbers? And so Powell's words are all important on Wednesday for the market. Outside of that, we've had yesterday, as I mentioned this several weeks ago, as something to keep on your radar. If you type in Bitcoin ETF now into Google, do I get ads? I don't get ads on Google, do I? Because I've got Brave browser, which is G, blocks the ads. But excuse me, matrix attack. On Google Ads now, Google ad policy, 29th of January, you can now see ads for ETFs, and BlackRock are already doing it. I saw someone share it in the chat, or I saw someone share it on Twitter, I think. ETF Google ad. You'll be able to see it here. There we go. We now have these on Google. Fucking Google. This is the first time, guys. This is the first time this has ever happened. This is literally a brand new market, or a brand new medium of advertising. And you can be sure they're going to be pumping fucking millions of dollars into that. And then, of course, coming up next Sunday, which is the 11th, we have the Super Bowl. So we've got the Super Bowl on the 11th, and we've got Chinese New Year on the 10th, both of which are potential positive catalysts for sentiment, not necessarily for price, but Asians and Chinese investors especially, they tend to, if the outlook for markets is bullish for that year, or they're feeling lucky, you know, the whole zodiac, and a lot of it's based around luck, big believers in that, then the market can perform well going into the Chinese New Year. And crypto is very much an Asian thing. The US and all that, especially Bitcoin, were much later adopters than the Asians. Even though it was created by, basically, fucking, like Satoshi, for all the best guesses, was former NSA intelligence. And I think the most credible theory about Bitcoin itself is that it was like a lab leak. That's the one I would probably most lean towards, where it was cryptographers working for the US intelligence, and they essentially released this, and it got out, and it wasn't supposed to get out, and once it got out, you can't stop it. That'd be what I would lean towards. I don't think Satoshi's still alive. I think it was one person from, again, I'm not an expert, but I've listened to millions of fucking podcasts on it, and read things about it, and spoken to people and listened to people, and they seem to think that all of the, you know, when they analyze his writing style, his coding style, all that kind of stuff, it seems to be one person. So probably a rogue coder who's a genuine, like, freedom maxi that was roped in by the intelligence agencies. Which, by the way, like, people talk about this as if the CIA invented Bitcoin, or if you're Dan Pena, you think that Putin invented Bitcoin. You understand how these government agencies work? Is they find the smartest people in the world and then essentially try and force them to work for them. Right? It's not, people don't grow up dreaming of working for the CIA. They become a god tier coder, and then they get headhunted by the CIA, and they say, basically, you have to do some work for us because you're an American, aren't you? You don't want to be a traitor. You a communist? Work for us. But it doesn't mean those people aren't free-thinking individuals who are of a distrust of centralization and authority. You know, both can be true. Case in point, John McAfee. John McAfee literally hacked fucking the US government, but he also worked for, I think it was the CIA as well. He did work for the CIA. And we all know how much of a fucking renegade G John McAfee was. Or maybe he is. Maybe he's still alive. Who knows? That'd be pretty G. But on the side tangent, big side tangent, um, the Asians were the first and earliest adopters of Bitcoin. The vast majority of Bitcoin mining very quickly migrated over into China, all the way up until 2021 when they banned it. But outside of that, Asians have always led the way in crypto. And so also the capital markets in China especially are terrible. Right? The Chinese stock Shanghai Composite Index, it's just fucking dog shit. The state of it. They don't have free open markets. It's literally a centrally planned economy. It's communism. They don't have markets where the average person can participate and just invest in the SSE and make money over time, right? Sure, it's gone up since the 90s, but it's gone down since 2007. So not really a great investment. Whereas crypto is open. Truly free markets, as you can see through all the manipulation, as you can see through the big crashes and the big pumps. No one person can control it. So the Asians have always been big crypto users, crypto adopters, crypto traders, crypto investors, whatever. And so if there is a positive move based on the Chinese New Year, we're just stacking catalysts here, right? We're just looking at what can possibly be a positive catalyst. There's the Super Bowl where there'll be a lot of ads, Bitcoin will be in the news. We also just get into February, right? New month. We've got January out of the way. January currently, as we're rapidly approaching the monthly close, which is going to be tomorrow midnight. So today's the 30th, tomorrow's 31st. Look at this. Remember that just a few days ago? I think replay mode will probably show it. Here's how the monthly candle has developed throughout the month so far. Right, there's, what's this one? November. There's December. And here's January. Oh. So January was like this. A week ago, 10 days ago. And we can see it gradually improving to where we are now. So it's funny because a lot of people were sharing this ultra bearish monthly candle whenever there was still 10 days left in the month. A lot can happen in 10 days. And a lot has happened. So regardless of how it closes, I think it's unlikely that it's going to close at the highs. If it could close above 45, that would be insanely good because that would close above December's high. But look at that. Take the noise away. Bitcoin's in a strong uptrend. Now, monthly, loads of room for a monthly dip, but it would just be a higher low, and then away we go. So, yeah, looking good. I think the best possible thing that could happen would actually be some sideways consolidation because, as you can see, when it just goes up, right? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 green months. 7th month we top out, big crash. Working on our 5th green month here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. If we just go 6, 7, we'll probably get to all-time high, but then that's probably it for a while. Like it's probably going to have a significant correction then. So I think one of the best things that could happen would be actually a couple of months of trading within this area. So if we spent February and March trading within this area, April, then we get the halving, and then May we start to move up after the halving, and then you start moving higher. That would be mega bullish, right? But that could lead to some choppy sideways. And that is what I expect. That is broadly my expectation. And that would be good. For me, that would be fine. That would be healthy. That would be, pretty much exactly what I want to see. Nothing about that would have me overly concerned. What else have we got here on these monthly bands? I'll go to the highest time frame chart we have. We got this. We got Bitcoin, which sold off through its bear market all the way to the 100-month EMA. That was the bottom. We then reclaimed the 50-month, which is the purple line, held above that for 6 months, mega bullish, and then pushed higher. Our monthly bands went red, green, red. that monthly green flip was our big catalyst. Talked about that several months ago. Really, really good. As you can see, every time the bands have went red, it's happened, I think, 3 times. Every time the bands went red, here we go, red and then green, that started a new bull market. Here we go in 2017, 2018, 2018, 19, going into 2020. They went from green to red to green, started a new bull market. Obviously, of course, you can have some dips and all that, but the bands, the monthly bands, I don't suspect that they will go red again. So, of course, we can pull back, we can go down, that can all happen. And even then, looking at this, I would say the most probable thing I would see would be that we trade within here and the bands catch up before a next move. Right, where the bands come up, price hits them, and we hold the bands, or maybe they go a little bit more like that. However it looks, it's a bit messy trying to draw the whole thing, but you get the rough idea. I would say that we could hold within this monthly will act as a range. So you can draw, I would say if we draw a box around this month, once it closes, I would say that sets up a pretty fair trading range for a few months. And then if Bitcoin goes, for its usual, Q2, Q3 is a bit more choppy sideways. Q4, we then break out. That would be like a repeat of 2020, where we, October, November, December, Q4 is when we started to push higher. If that happened, that would also line up with probably price coming up into these bands, holding them, and then pushing up. So overall, looks good. Total 3 itself, still looking very healthy. I've talked about this now for several weeks. Your downside is relatively limited. Your upside is pretty substantial. And I think weekly, if I look at the EMAs, I had the drawings. Weekly uptrend bands holding. So when you go through a bear market and the bands are red, you then try to bottom out. Your bands flip green. They go red again. They go green again. That's one of the best patterns you'll see. We've had that. We flipped this bear market range from resistance into support. We're holding. We had a nice reversal last week. We're looking strong here. So again, my main case for alts is still the same, which is not moon straight away. Still a bit of chop. Push towards the highs, drop back a bit, form a proper base, right? With 12 weeks, 13 weeks, 14 weeks of rally. Then you have some consolidation that can go for months potentially before your next rally. So don't be surprised if that happens. But a lot of it will be driven by what happens, what are the actions of the Fed and the Treasury. Like if the global liquidity keeps rising, they keep printing and pumping the markets are going to keep going up. That's what really matters to us. So overall, everything's looking pretty good, pretty healthy. Let's see if people have been chasing in. Funding rates starting to tick over into positive territory for a lot of coins. So there's definitely some signs of healthy, I would say healthy speculation coming back. Bitcoin just above average. Ethereum just above average. Solana just above average. Just above neutral, I should say. Sui. Ordinals below. API 3 below. Doge way above. Doge doing some weird shit. Fuck Doge, man. Why do people keep trying to trade Doge? Doesn't make sense. AVAX above. Manta has picked up. It's a new launch. It's a bit different. Ripple. Cardano. So you can see here, for sure, this has changed now from just a few days ago. And if you go and look at the funding rate global, so you've open interest, funding rate. You've open interest global, funding rate global. And we look at Bitcoin, OI and funding. This is just, if you're wondering why did I get long before and why am I exiting most of it now? Because of this. You want to enter when people are fearful, when they're neutral funding, flat funding, no open interest increases, and then be looking to exit when they start to get safe again. They feel safe. Altcoins looked like this when I was getting long Bitcoin. Altcoins were literally negative funding. Now, altcoins are back above neutral. Open interest has risen from 8.9 to 10.3. So we've added 1.4 billion of altcoin OI since that point. Bitcoin has added 10.3 to 11.1. So Bitcoin's only added 800 million. So look at that. The difference of Bitcoin versus altcoins. Altcoin have added 1.3 billion. Bitcoin's added 800 million. That is a massive disparity. The altcoin market is now almost as big as the Bitcoin market for open interest, yet it's increasing faster. So to me, I don't see how this goes much further without a pullback on alts. And the fact that we've bounced off the lows with no real pullback so far, and you see alts rising up and people starting to get YOLO long alts again, it's just the same thing playing over and over again. They're going to be wrong yet again, like they're always wrong. But it doesn't mean we go to zero. It just means that, let's take Solana for example. You know, the average person who looks at this and thinks, I don't want to buy, like what the funding is telling you, right? Whenever we were getting long Bitcoin over here, nobody wanted to get long Solana, right? As you can see by the funding and open interest. Now, when it's gone up only to 104, people want to get long now. You can see this through the funding, through the open interest. So they won't get long here, they will get long here. This is why these people just never make money. I don't know, maybe it goes higher. It could. But at some point, I'm sure that it comes back down and just retests. And even if it's just a higher low and then we move from there, right? It's just the average person, always, the average trader, the dumb money, they just lose. And they lose because they can't buy when it feels scary. And they can't sell when it feels good. They're the opposite. They buy when it feels good. They sell when it feels scary. But that, if you're starting to buy into Solana 30% off the lows, you're at risk, so much risk. Just even a pullback. Just a pullback, not a new low. Just a pullback is 20%. That takes out almost everyone on any kind of leverage. So, caution over the next few days, week or two. People are sidelined, so it can keep squeezing, right? It can definitely keep squeezing a little more. It has to reach a point, one, where there's actually resistance on the chart. So the big resistance for Solana is up here. So it can definitely keep going to tempt people and get them really questioning, shit, why did I panic and sell at 78? And then, down we go, makes them panic and sell again. Then, forms a base and probably breaks. Like, if I see something like that, I'll get quite aggressive on Solana in the reaccumulation part with my spot bags. So that's it. Overall, Tuesday, don't go crazy. I think everyone's going to be waiting on the Fed tomorrow and waiting on the Treasury second announcement tomorrow. So just keep that in mind. I don't think today is a day to be taking big risk. Alright, GM. See you later, live stream.